straight to our second topic of the evening. It's going to be Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Here we go. It is a 2022 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics featuring the character Thor, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to Thor Ragnarok from 2017 and the 29th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film is directed by Taika Waititi, who co-wrote the script with Jennifer Caton Robinson, and stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor alongside Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Jamie Alexander, Waititi, Russell Crowe, and Natalie Portman. In the film, Thor attempts to find inner peace, but must return to action and recruit Valkyrie, played by Thompson, Korg, played by Waititi, and Jane Foster, played by Portman, who is now the mighty Thor, to stop Gore, the God Butcher, played by Bale, from eliminating all gods. Hemsworth and Waititi had discussed plans for a sequel to Ragnarok by January 2018. Love and Thunder was announced in July 2019, with Hemsworth, Waititi, and Thompson all set to return, as well as Portman, who did not appear in Ragnarok. Waititi wanted to differentiate Love and Thunder from Ragnarok, seeking to make a romance film and 1980s-inspired adventure. He adapted elements from Jason Aaron's run on the Mighty Thor comic book, which sees Foster take on the mantle and powers of Thor whilst under treatment for cancer. Robinson joined to contribute to the script in February 2020, and further casting was revealed later that year, including the appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Production was expected to begin in late 2020, but was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Filming ultimately began in January 2021 down the road in Sydney, Australia, and concluded at the beginning of June. Thor Love and Thunder was released on July 8th as part of Phase 4 of the MCU. The film earned praise for its light-hearted nature and the cast's performances, particularly those of Bale and Portman, while criticism was aimed at the screenplay and tonal inconsistency, with several critics deeming the film inferior to its predecessor. Love and Thunder has grossed over $601 million worldwide, becoming the seventh highest grossing film of 2022 so far. 133,000 ratings on IMDb give this one a current average of 6.8 out of 10, while critics, less impressed, 57 for the old Metascore.
Yeah.
Take a stab at the Rotten Tomatoes, guys.
Well, I would give this like a 38.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in a review or a commentary that I watched recently, it's the fourth lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like Eternals I know that's the lowest because it's actually rotten, like Incredible Hulk, Into a Dark World, and then this one is the lowest. So it's got to be sub 70, but above 40 something, which is what Eternals was at. So I'm going to say 60. Split the difference ish.
I'm going to say 95. No, that's not my I'm gonna go 65.
66%, Jason, almost on the nose. Look at that. Not fresh, but not certified. So just fresh for this one.
Anybody else do the thing in their brain when Terry's talking about it's the fourth worst?
Lowest.
I assume he's talking about just
for
MCU
Rotten Tomatoes.
Films.
Yeah,
MCU films,
Yeah.
Out of the MCU.
So when Terry was saying that, did anybody else think, but it's the fourth highest Thor film? Which means it's last, but doesn't matter. But
that's not lower than Into a Dark World. Into a Dark World, I'm pretty sure is second last. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the second lowest.
It's pretty low.
Yeah,
it's pretty low.
It's horrid.
I
Comrade
think
Callie.
I'd rather watch Dark World than this. But go ahead, Jace. You take us away.
Jason Mira, the era of. Tell us your thoughts on the 29th MCU film.
It sounds like I might be the most highest person on this. Wait, no, that's crazy. It sounds
How
like
you sound every week, Jason.
It sounds like I am the most positive on this film. There we go. Because I watched the knowing the comics and knowing the Lady Thor background, and when I found out that they were going to translate that into the film, I was really excited. It was really cool to have the images of her spoiled for me on the internet. That was cool. No, it was cool to see it happen, like to see the fact that they're actually. Anyway, what the fuck am I saying? I've been out of the game for so long. I don't know how to drive
Rusty.
anymore.
I've forgotten how to ride the bicycle.
Yeah. So basically, I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think going into the film, I was expecting the Taika Waititi. I've been going on a bit of a Taika Waititi run lately. We watched Our Flag Means Death, the TV show with gay pirates on it. It's awesome. Definitely go watch it. And so, been in the mood for Taika Waititi, and then so jumping in and hearing Guns N' Roses, a band that I grew up listening to because my family listened to Guns N' Roses, and seeing it, the Guardians there, that was a really real highlight because one thing that I guess I was wondering about what happened at the end of Endgame is knowing that they're doing Guardians Volume 3 and how Thor is going to interact with that. The answer is not very much at all. Yeah, so like that whole sequence was really funny, and it kind of set the mood for the rest of the film, with the narration happening by Korg and all the banter between Thor and everyone else in the film just bouncing off of each other. I thought that was really cool to see, and I think I think one of the criticisms I saw going into the film beforehand was it's basically like a big music video, and I had that in the back of my head, but the more and more I went in deeper into the film, I felt that the film used those songs in appropriate moments for me. I felt like it was okay. It did get a bit excessive, like really hammy, where one of the kids' names is like, oh, I listen to this band called Guns N' Roses, and my name is now Axel.
Well, yeah, he doesn't even say that. He's like, the name's Axel.
Yeah.
Instead of Astrid.
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really heavy-handed, and I think it would have been cool to just like let it slide, like, oh, call me Axel, or my name's Axel now, or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was could have been handled better. And where they went and the journey they went on, the worlds you got to see, I thought was really cool. The characters they introduced when they went from one place to another in a thing. I'm trying to like walk around eggshells to not go into
be vague.
Yeah, I'm trying to be vague. So when they go from one point to another, that was really cool to see. I didn't think they'd go as fantastical as that, and it seems like a direction that all of the MCU films are happy leaning into lately, is going into more fantastical. So if you look at like Loki, for example, that's getting pretty fantastical there. So I think the cameos are really funny. Some of the stuff that they got them to do was hilarious, and the goats are freaking amazing, and I want that as my ringtone now. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit of a scatterbrain lately because, like I said, I've just been so busy. But I'm really wanted to get on the show, mainly to talk about Thor, but also to see you chuckleheads again. So it's been really good.
Yeah, we've missed you, bro.
I've missed you too. And yeah, I think I don't have many like critiques on it. Because like the way I watched it with my brother, and so having that, like bouncing back off of him, watching his reactions of it, I think he at the end of the film goes, "Oh yeah, that was alright. I think it was a missed opportunity when they did this and this, but Natalie Portman was awesome." I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. So I think the consensus from him, it was cool, but it didn't really stand out for him, and I guess it was it's kind of mirrored from my opinions as well. It was really cool. Didn't really stand out, but I enjoyed watching it. I was very happy that I saw it in the cinema. Having the audio paid off for me, and having it on the big screen. So I think that worked well for me. Obviously, with the Metascore the way it is, it didn't like click for everyone else. But yeah, what did you guys think?
I might jump in next, but first I would like to just do your rating first, Chase. We'll just go each of us cap off with your feelings. Don't miss it, don't rush, don't bother.
Don't rush. don't rush. Like it's I really liked it, but I can understand why people are not like raving about it. So don't rush. You know, if you want to wait until it gets to Disney Plus, that's fine. One thing that I'm hearing from everyone is they're getting a bit burnt out by MCU films, like because there's 29 films now.
29.
In addition to how many episodes of all the other shows, and you know, people have just San Diego Comic-Con just happened, and we've seen what Phase 5 and Phase 6 looks like. So I think a lot of people are like, all right, strap in again. Here we go. So you know, I totally get that, but for me, like knowing that MCU films are around the corner is a highlight for me. Like it's something that I look forward to. And I was thinking about this when like a lot of the MCU TV shows are coming out, because I think we've gotten used to all of the shows, every episode coming out at once. I'm really enjoying looking forward to an episode lately. I did it with the Boys, just finished season 3 of The Boys. And I was really looking forward to, hey, okay, Friday night, I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to sit back, watch the film, watch the episode, and same with Ms. Marvel as well. Wednesday night, cool, sit back, watch it. So I've been enjoying that, but I can totally understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm a massive nerd, so like it's totally up my alley. So yeah.
Nice. I might jump in because I don't have too many thoughts, so I just want to get through them quickly. But for me, this is a couple of things. I think it's highlighting to me the struggles that the MCU has had with putting together sequels. Like I think this film suffers from a lot of the problems that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 suffers from, particularly around the humor and just, I think, misunderstanding what we love about the first one and doubling down not necessarily on the things that we want more of. And you know, like I remember Ben, you saying, you know, for you, like Ragnarok was too funny. You know, it was too many laughs per minute. And it's like, you know, Taika Waititi said, "Hold my beer." Like you think if you know, and the humor is not necessarily better in this. In fact, I think it's worse off. I think they lean too much into the silliness, where it is refreshing and novel to have a character like Korg appear in Ragnarok and completely, you know, change your perspective on what it means to have a character in the MCU. Like his character is like, oh, you know, I tried to start a uprising, but I ran out of pamphlets. Like that's the sort of humor that was fresh and new and was inviting, and like it was, you know, something not to expect. But when you double down on it for this, it's like we've already had doses of Korg scattered throughout Infinity War and whatnot as well. So for me, it's just like it's not exciting anymore to be revisiting this same humor. I think Guardians Volume 2 suffered from that same problem as well. For me, this lands just as a middling film, but I feel the exact same way coming out of this film as I do for Multiverse of Madness. I am like middling on it, and I'm not that impressed. And the more I think about it, the angrier I get, because they should be knocking it out of the park each and every time at this point. Yeah. And it's a shame. Like Jason, you mentioned, you know, being excited for the MCU. All it takes to rekindle that excitement for me is a great movie. You know, introduce some exciting new characters, and get me caring again. And it can happen. Like, you know, we went on a run there in the middle of phase 2 where things weren't great. You know, you got the Dark World and Iron Man 3, and we're like, oh, okay, I'm not sure. But then Winter Soldier comes along. Yeah. And then Guardians Volume 1 comes along. And then Age of Ultron was pretty damn good. Yeah. You know, and then we go into Civil War, and all of a sudden we're at the doorstep of Infinity War, and it's like, holy crap, this is amazing. So right? And so for me, it's just like Phase 4 actually started pretty strongly for me. It was like, you know, I didn't mind WandaVision. It had its problems, but there was stuff to like. Yeah. I really like Shang-Chi. You know, it too, not an amazing film, but there was, you know, new characters. Awkwafina was in there, stuff to enjoy. I like what they did with No Way Home, but then it's getting to that point now where, I, as someone who, like, you know, a year ago said, oh, Shana, you know, like, do you think you'll get burned out on MCU? I was like, you know what? I don't think so. Like, I'm enjoying what we've got so far post, you know, Avengers Endgame. But now, like, I feel like Phase 4 has taken a dive for the worst. And I can't say I'm terribly excited about what's on the horizon, particularly when so much of it is coming in TV show form. And I think they leave a lot to be desired. So, sorry, that's kind of veering off track of the review of this one. But I feel like my feelings about Love and Thunder kind of just wrap up my general feelings about where I am with the MCU right now. There was stuff to like though, and I kind of wish that what they would have doubled down on that I really enjoyed about Ragnarok was the exploration of the villain. You know, Hera got like quite a bit of screen time in Ragnarok, and I thought the film was all the better for it. We see her, you know, explaining the dark history of Asgard and Odin, and that's part of, you know, the mythos that I had never sort of heard about or known about, and that was interesting. It excited me. I was like, oh wow, you know, yeah, I'd never thought to think about how Asgard got its riches, but yeah, look at this cool history and her perspective, and I think Gore, you know, Bale's character in this was right for it, and I feel as though he is wasted in this movie. I think he's like one of the best parts of it, and he gets very little screen time. So yeah, I really wish they did more of that. I like that Portman was back. You know, she can charm me in any role. So I won't take that in as my strongest argument to say this is a great film, just because she could have done anything, and I'm sure I would have liked what she was doing. A couple of other positives. There were some like really cool stylistic moments as well. Like I love when they arrive into a particular scene, and there's a lot of black and white with bursts of color. Like I just love the stylistic choices here. It kind of reminds me of the conversation we had around Raimi's direction of Multiverse in Madness, where it didn't feel like a traditional MCU film. You know, when they all start to blur together, I feel like we'll look back at Multiverse of Madness, see his directing style, and you see his clear fingerprint on this one. I wish we kind of got more of that here, just to, I suppose, mix it up a bit and keep it fresh.
I would have put Ragnarok in that list. Like, Ragnarok has a really distinct thumbprint of Taika Waititi on it.
100%.
In the same way that
the pacing of that film, like
Yeah.
the pacing of Act 1 in Ragnarok is unlike any other MCU film.
And it's just, I don't know. I don't want to hijack if you want to throw it to Ben.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say it's like if there was a mix between Don't Bother and Don't Rush, it would be that for me. I'm just going to say Don't Rush because there's enough to enjoy. I think there's just enough to enjoy in this. Like, throw it on once it hits Disney Plus, and you've got nothing else to watch.
There's so many jumping off points from what you've said that I was also going to comment on that I'd love to go next, if you don't mind, Terry.
Go for it.
Yeah, no, I don't mind.
I agree with some of the things that you guys have said, but really I disagree with some of the last things that you said there, Shane. So let me pile on a little bit on the things I agree on. Way too much comedy, just like you said. Like, you picked my brain perfectly. You knew exactly how I feel about this. I don't like the Dark World. I don't like Ragnarok that very much at all. I didn't even really like Jojo Rabbit for the same reason. Like, it's just too many jokes. Just, I am exhausted, and not in a good way. Like, I'm not exhausted from laughing. I'm just exhausted from figuring out jokes the whole movie through. Anyway, so.
It's like too much sugar sort of thing.
Too much sugar, yes, a good one.
Yeah,
exactly. I really wish we could do these podcasts in person. Like, back when we used to do them in person, it used to be more.
Yeah.
Let's all talk about Natalie Portman. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone says what they think about Natalie Portman. We move on to the next thing or whatever. And there's a little bit less of like, oh, I wanted to talk about like 3 more things just after Natalie Portman, but now we're on this tack, which we can do here now. But there's a whole lot lost where I'd love to have just jumped in and go, oh, Shane, I can't believe you said that or whatever, and we can have a go at it or whatever. But I think I might have exhausted the things that I agree with you with. The Christian Bale angle. They did too much telling and not enough showing for Christian Bale's motivation. They literally have exposition that tells you things that they shouldn't have known in the first place, but also should have been shown in scenes with Bale, demonstrating why he's cursed or what his motivation is. Instead of literally, Valkyrie would just say, he's got an evil curse and he's trying to kill all gods because of X, Y, and Z. Don't just tell us that.
Show us.
Like, show us that happening in the movie, because that's what we're here for. There was way too much of that, and I totally agree. He was way underutilized. Can
I jump in, Ben, just to I suppose, fulfill your wish that we could just jump in more? I'm just going to do it right now and say, like, that's probably something that I've taken for granted with Infinity War as well. It's just like Thanos, like the great job that the Russo brothers do of explaining and demonstrating Thanos's, you know, motivations. Like, he is telling you what he believes. It's being shown to you, you know, when you flash back to Gamora as well as a kid. Yeah, that's something I didn't even pick up on. But you're dead on.
They redouble down, they iterate and keep going on Thanos over and over again. It makes him such a great villain. And they also do a little bit of tell and don't show with the snap thing. Like 5 times through Infinity War, someone will say like, "All Thanos needs is the last Infinity Stone."
Snap of his fingers,
and
yeah.
they literally do this, and they literally say he could just snap his fingers. And then when he does that ridiculous thing, like make a wish and snap your fingers, like he's fucking Dorothy, we don't even question it because it's been laid down really well too. That's an example where telling and not showing can be a benefit, but not when it's just like the main motivation of your villain. You need to show us the villain more, and so that we can get a bit of a relationship going with him. Maybe someone will empathize with him a little bit better. We're supposed to empathize with this villain at the end, anyways, and it was just a whiff. Like I didn't empathize with him at all. I'm like, okay, he's dying, great. The end.
I feel like with Ragnarok, like you kind of get there a bit with Hera, right? Like you get her walking through the halls of Asgard, and in my mind, just like I suppose logically, it's like, well, shit, yeah, she is the oldest child. Technically, she has the right to the throne. Like, what more do you want?
Yeah,
sort of thing.
That one I didn't love because it was again more telling and not showing. Like they literally put on a play that tells us about it, and then Odin sits down and tells us a tale about it, and then it's all there because it couldn't have been shown because again it's like a retcon. It's like, by the way, you've got a long lost sister, and here she is.
That's true. Yeah.
Where they just rewrite the rules again. Stuff I don't love. But anyways, why did they make Christian Bale look like Kratos? Literally the guy who kills gods in God of War. Like he's got the bald thing with the red stripes down his head, and I was like, what are they doing? Has no one?
It's a little on the nose.
This IP is taken. You can't do this. I hate Natalie Portman in this role. She fucking sucks in the role where she has to crack wise and be silly. She's terrible in this movie. I hated watching her in this movie. I was cringing in my seat. Watching her try and be aloof and be silly and be dumb funny, where she's trying to figure out a catchphrase, but she doesn't really quite have it yet, and she's trying these different catchphrases out, and she'll get it. And they try to like make her like not care about her own mortality at all. Like she's just like, oh, it's just stage 4. It's fine. I just need to get back to work. Kind of jokes, and it just didn't play for me at all. I hated every second of her on the screen. I did not enjoy her at all. So I kind of disagree with you there. Sorry, Jane. I got maybe 2 more things to say and then a rant. But I'll try not to rant.
I should have done what Ben's done with like written notes because all my thoughts were all over the place.
Yeah, they're a bit even written. They're a bit all over the place. I'm like scrolling up and down. I'm like, which one do I talk about next and stuff. Too many fight scenes just have the one. I'm jumping really high in the air with the axe held high over my head, and I'm coming crashing down with a big smash attack.
AOE.
It happens like 5 times. Like we've seen it. Don't do that anymore. Do something else. Like
hey, look, if that works, and if I get the most DPS out of that attack, I'm doing it over.
True. If it was
if this is a video game,
that's what I would be doing as well. But I don't think video games are good storytelling vessels. But yeah, sorry. I'm going to step on everyone's toes by the end of this. The whole okay, this might be a bit of a nitpick, but there are too many camera movements, too many shots that are done entirely in CG.
Yeah.
Where the movement of the camera is not mimicking what a real camera could do. So the camera, this is like a trope of the noughties films where they can now afford to like make it like at the start of Spider-Man, where it's like the camera's like flying through, doing like all these twisty and turny things through spider webs and all that kind of stuff in the CG openings and stuff like that. My brain immediately doesn't agree, like doesn't believe what I'm seeing, and I just turn off immediately. Like we're in a CG scene, and then the camera just like swings around over here. It's like, no, that's not what that wasn't filmed. I don't like. I'm not thinking this. It's just my brain just goes,
it's just been rendered.
I can't. Yeah, I don't believe this shot anymore. It's like, yeah, exactly. It looks rendered now. It's just another tool that CGI people have under their belt to invest in realism. Like, I'll believe what I'm seeing in front of my eyes if it behaves, the camera behaves properly. But if it doesn't, it's just another thing like lighting and shadows and all that other stuff that you could get wrong, that my brain then just rejects what it's seeing. instead of believing it. Now, take that with a grain of salt because I hated pretty much every moment watching this movie, so I was probably looking for things to hate at that point. But yeah, that was another one. The thing I was really confused about, which doesn't matter at all, is the Guns N' Roses thing. Like, did Guns N' Roses pay $1 million to like please promote our band? Like, please put like 4 songs in your movie and just
They
because
are.
okay, right?
They are touring.
They are touring, right? So
Yeah.
I honestly felt like okay, Axl Rose has written a huge check to become mainstream again, get in the pop culture, to like you said, Jace. I totally agree that it felt heavy-handed that the character would be like, I listen to this heavy metal band and I love them, so you can call me Axl now. I also was smacked with virtue signaling in that scene. Like I just hate the thing where I just feel like the writers are like, don't dead name this character anymore. Like, look, we can be hip and we can be fresh or whatever. I don't care whether it's something I agree with or not. It just feels like it's dating the movie. I'm going to come back and watch this. I'm not. But if I came back and watched this in 10 years, I'd go like, oh, like I'd roll my eyes and go, I can't believe they did that. It's so gross. But yeah,
I think it was funny because like Guns N' Roses never like rarely license out their music. So you know when that MCU dollars come knocking on the door, you can't really say no, can you?
Well, no, I think it's the other way around. I reckon Guns N' Roses paid MCU to put their music in the movie. Not the
I don't know.
Look, this is my rant. My rant is Guns N' Roses aren't your heavy metal Viking band. They're ripped jeans, headscarves, aviator sunglasses, nothing Viking at all about them. Their music doesn't gel with the movie. It felt out of place. I love listening to their songs. Like I'm like you, Jace. I love listening to Guns N' Roses, but their music didn't make it in the soundtrack for me. It didn't fit. And then,
well, this is why TT trying to do the 1980s adventure. That's what he's bringing
there's other options because in the credits they played a Dio song, and I'm like, this is the band. You should have had Dio in. Like Dio is like long lace long lace shirts, devil fingers, and mythological creatures on their cover albums, like crystal balls and all that kind of stuff. That is way more in this zone of Thor and the magical Norse crap than Guns N' Roses is. It's not exactly married to it either, but it's like way more. It's way closer than the Guns N' Roses thing. I just didn't understand why Guns N' Roses kept coming up. It really doesn't matter at all to the movie. But I was just like, another Guns N' Roses song. What the fuck is happening? And then the kid was like, I'm Dio. And I'm like, oh, not Dio. He's like, I'm Axl. And I'm like, no, why? This is so silly. I don't get it. I really just didn't understand it, and it annoyed me. I'm annoyed by things I don't understand. Okay, last point, and then I'm done. The movie's too dark. I can't see anything. It's like Solo, the Han Solo movie. It's literally in darkness. The bad guys are shadows that come out of even darker shadows, and I can't see anything. And then they go to a planet that's devoid of color, and I'm like, what is happening? Did nobody think that color is nice? Or, that like seeing the bad guys that you're fighting is important? Like I didn't get it. Like nobody.
I feel like that final action scene, well, probably not the final one, but that action scene, like in the black and white, like it was so stylized that it did. Like I got Sin City vibes. Like it didn't. It wasn't.
That was really cool.
It wasn't offensive to my eyes or anything like that. It was like I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like different.
The thing that I did like was how Mjolnir and the jealous tree
Stormbreaker
would glow, and the glow would be still there, like in Sin City, where some things would still make color happen. That was kind of cool, but that was just the tip of the iceberg, Shane. The rest of the movie, you can't see it. They've not lit the faces of the actors in the center of the frame, and you can't see their face or their eyes. And they're in shadow, and they're delivering a line, and I'm like, what am I supposed to like? I don't want to be like, you're breaking the rules like a grammar Nazi when it comes to cinema, but there's like cinema rules around framing and lighting and seeing your actors that they're breaking here. And I don't want to say that the movie sucked because they broke those rules. I'm saying that they broke those rules, and then I'm sitting there going, I can't see anything, and it's on a projected screen where at home I'm watching OLED HDR, brightness in your face content, and I know that that's why they made it dark, because when it comes on Disney Plus and you watch it on your OLED screen, it's going to look brilliant and it's going to pop because you're going to get all the darkness here and the teeny brightness in the corner, and everything is going to come full brightness in your face. But in a cinema, it sucks dick. You can't see a thing. It's really bad. I didn't like the cinematography, I guess you call it, or the art direction of it all, and I'm done. Don't like it. Don't.
Joshua, thank you for the bits. Terry, throwing it to you, sir. Oh, it's red, Ben. I'm be surprised if
It's
it's
red.
anything
Really
better.
don't see
Don't
it.
bother.
It's not good.
No.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's not a good MCU movie. It's not a good Thor movie. There's nothing about this movie that's any good.
Yeah, there's a few things that I kind of say. I think that the Guns N' Roses thing ties in nicely with one of Shane's points, which is it's like they didn't know what it was in Ragnarok that was successful, and so they're like, we used like Rolling Stone songs in that, and it was like great. So like let's like, what are we gonna pull in next? And it's like, it wasn't necessarily that it was from one particular band. It was like the right song captured the moment, like that, like and like it's just brilliant. It's the perfect song. It captures the emotion of what's happening.
Zeppelin would have been way better for Viking stuff.
Yeah, it's just like phenomenal choice of song in the first movie. And so like he picked an aesthetic of this 80s thing, and like Thor's outfits throughout portions of it kind of fits that, and his hair also kind of fits it. And so I think that's just another example of them pulling something in that it's like they loved this about the last one, so we're going to pull that in. And it's like, that's not necessarily what it was about the last one that we liked. I can't agree more with Shane's point of, it's more laughs per minute that they're going for, but they're just not funny. It's like, it's trying to be more humorous than it needs to be, and it's absolutely falling flat. And I distinctly remember, Ben, right before we went in and saw this movie, we watched this together, Caitlin, Ben, and I, and I said, I'm struggling really hard because I like to go into movies with lowered expectations, and I'm like, I'm finding it difficult to lower my expectations because I love Thor Ragnarok so much. And coming into this film, and I went through this exercise. I don't know if you remember what it was that I said, Ben, but I'm like, as long as they don't undo character development and whatnot, I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy this film. And Thor has regressed to like this angsty teenage boy, completely trashing all of this character growth that he's undergone in this overarching arc of the MCU stories. And I'm like, it's like literally the one thing.
Exactly back to the first scene of the first film, except he's the other side of the coin. In the first film, he's like, I want to have a fight and I don't care about anything else. I just want to get into a tussle with some aliens and kill them.
And then drink.
And this
afterwards.
one, he's like, I'm a pacifist. I don't want to fight, but also I'm going to destroy things, and I don't care about the consequences and all.
Yeah,
and
no care about it. Yeah, none. Completely socially inept. Like no empathy whatsoever. Doesn't know how to read the room. Is impeccably selfishly motivated. Like vain to a fault. And I'm just like, where? Like, I really don't understand, because like,
I think I might have a point that might help you understand what they might have tried to be doing with his character, but I don't think they got there. Is the interaction between him and Chris Pratt, Star-Lord? Thunderlord. There's this angle that he gets to have where they both know that they're having a sentimental moment, but Thor can't be sentimental. So Thor is being obtuse, and they both let it happen. But they also both know that they're saying goodbye and it's heartfelt or whatever. And he's saying, like, you can have this ship back. And he's like, you mean I can have my ship? Thanks. It's like my ship. And he's saying like, yep, you can have it back. I give it back to you or whatever. They both are on the same page the whole time. Thor isn't really being obtuse that he really actually thinks it's his ship or anything like that.
No. I think that that's a throwback to what was happening in Infinity Wars and Endgame, because that whole like, I'm the captain. It's like, yes, of course you are. Of course you're the captain. because like Star-Lord in that is being insecure in his authority and his strength in front of this like Adonis of Thor. I think it's a throwback that falls flat. If it's attempting to do what you're saying, it falls flat, and it's also a throwback to a really stupid interaction, in my opinion. I don't mind the being like kind of insecure in like his physical physique, but he's like, no, I'm literally the captain of this ship. Like, I will airlock you if you like disagree. Like you can piss right off. But
yeah, in Infinity War,
that's not what it does.
He is Infinity War. The gag is that Thor is. I agree. No, totally. You're the captain. You're the boss.
Yeah.
But then he still makes orders. Like he's back.
Yes, he still gives orders. Yeah, he's insubordinate, and it's like it's very immature type of behavior, and whatnot. But like he kind of goes through it. He talks about his pain. Anyway, I don't want to get down too much in the weeds with that kind of stuff. The growth that he has to go through, his sense of failure, like at the core of any movie that's meant to be a hero movie, it doesn't have to be a superhero movie for it to be hero. Like, hero journeys are about broken individuals overcoming stuff. Bravery isn't necessarily being fearless. It's like still doing what needs to be done even though you're scared. Like, that's courage. Like, he's meant to continue driving forward, and like he's not like that. He's not a hero. He's a douchebag bully with powers. Like, and I don't think it's necessarily I'm a little fractured because there's so many different points that you guys have made. I don't think it's Marvel movie fatigue. I think that it's bad movie fatigue. They've made so many cock-ups with the latest set of MCU IPs. Like, the Hawkeye series, as much as I enjoyed it, isn't a Hawkeye series. We're replacing Hawkeye with a female character. It's a gender swap for future iterations so that we can write Jeremy Renner's out of the things and still have Hawkeye, but now it's the correct gender because that's what we're kind of pushing. And I'm like, I don't necessarily care about gender swapped things. Like, I'm not so attached to the comic books that I don't think that that's not the problem that I necessarily have with it. But it's like,
you know what's gross about that?
You can't call it Hawkeye and then shit on the character Hawkeye.
You know what's really gross about that? What you just said is, and I don't know if this is true. This is me just guessing, but the part of it that is true is that it shouldn't matter, like the gender, like who they cast in the role of Hawkeye.
A strong
the gender
character
of that person shouldn't matter, but.
No.
There has been multiple meetings and emails where people have sat in a boardroom and said, "Have to be a girl, and here's why."
Yeah.
Like, we need to pick the gender of the next Hawkeye, and
exactly.
And they've gone back and forth about the gender, which shouldn't matter, but it so does to them, and that's gross.
Yeah.
It
is.
And
talking
about
because it's cheap.
Acknowledges it. You know?
It's kind of cheap and pandery. It's like tokenism in its worst kind of form, because it's like you've said, it's virtue signaling. I'm like, just write a strong female character. It shouldn't matter that they're female in the character. Just like it anyway. Again, that's another rabbit hole I didn't necessarily want to delve down too deeply into, but it's like a little bit. I'm just saying that MCU pieces, this phase 4 and a bit of the end of phase 3, they're just really running with this terrible decision that they're not going to make compelling heroic stories. They're doling people up and saying that they are heroes, even though they are demonstrating behaviors and characteristics that are not heroic. Thor in this movie is a selfish bully and a tosspot. Like, I can't connect to this character in this film in the way that I felt I could in Ragnarok, where he's really wrestling with grief at the loss of his father. He thought that he'd lost his brother, but his brother's back, and he's dealing with that emotional turmoil. He's a hot mess, and he's also like, who am I without my hammer? And it's like, it was never about the hammer. And he's like discovering so much about himself. He is somewhat insecure about it. And like, there's still that contention in the film with him and Bruce Banner. He's like, I'm the strongest Avenger. But it's like, well, like, not really, but maybe, especially as your powers start to blossom into the Thunder God sort of stuff. And it's just, it's kick ass when he gets to that point.
See the deleted scene from the original Thor where he returns the cup? There's like a deleted scene where they're all having breakfast at Professor whatever his face's apartment, and Thor drinks from his breakfast cup, and he's like, "Can I have this?" And then Professor whatever says, "Sure," and he goes, "I'll be right back," and he just gets up and leaves, and then he goes back to the cafe where he's drinking, and then he like smashes the thing on the ground. He's like, "Oh, and everyone's like," and he walks up to the lady. He's like, "I'm sorry, I broke your cup," and he gives her the cup back, and then
I hadn't seen that deleted scene, but that's kind of funny because it would be a marker of the character growth.
Yeah, it's the final
your little piece. And I don't understand why he needed to become such a shitty person in this film. Like, don't get me started on the Natalie Portman stuff. I think I agree completely with Ben. Hated seeing how her character was used in this film. I thought some interesting things were kind of cool. The fractured Mjolnir was interesting, but it was not really utilized. Like you said, it was just used the same way in every single fight that it existed in. It didn't get kind of fleshed out or explored further. I will say, like, just because it's anyway, it doesn't need to explain why.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm slightly shocked and then greatly shocked at two things that we didn't cover here. And the slightly shocked is the rule break thing at the end without spoiling it. Like the thing that happens at the end that I'm sure you guys were thinking like, hang on a second. If they could do that the whole time, then why didn't they do that back in Avengers?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Why didn't they use this ability like they've wrote a new rule in again at the end of this movie that I'm like, what the fuck? They can't do that. That's the small one, and the big one is no one's mentioned Russell Crowe once.
I'm getting there.
I'm
getting there. Sorry, I didn't want to necessarily say Russell Crowe, but like that whole like theater of the gods scene. Some of it was interesting, some of it was funny. Some people are like, "Oh, I loved the bow, like the god of dumplings." I'm like, that was dumb to me. What I found interesting was that Korg, like the god of his people, was there, and he was sitting on a throne of scissors. That was fantastic because it's like a scissor paper rock reference. I liked Zeus because it made me think of Con the Fruiterer from like Full Frontal or Fast Forward. It's like an old sketch show on Australian TV. Eric Banner used to be on it, along with a whole bunch of other Australian comedians. Con the Fruiterer is this like Greek fruit guy, and Rusty Crowe as Zeus, I think, kind of channels that kind of performance in his portrayal of Zeus. I dislike immensely the like, because I need to like how are the characters going to go from one place to the other? Oh, and also the goats suck. The goats fucking suck. Like, it's so dumb. The screaming goat is like a meme from like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. It made me kind of laugh the first time they did it, but then they dragged them along with them. I'm like, surely they're not going to be here for the whole movie. And they were there for the whole movie. I'm like, that
was awesome.
I don't mean to yuck your yum, Jace, but I can't agree with that. I couldn't disagree more strongly. It's just so stupid. It's so dumb.
You don't need comic relief in a comedy movie.
Yeah, it's
already funny. Like, you don't need a break.
It's meant to be.
Well, for me, that's why the Russell Crowe Zeus didn't land for me. Like, I was like, we didn't need this. Like, it's not like you introduce a new character and he doesn't stand out to me because he's just more of the same flavor we've been getting for the last 45 minutes.
Yeah,
like it was
trying to take
the reason why the Grand Master is interesting, because we hadn't seen anyone like his character in the film, and it comes along, it's like, oh my god, Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum,
and he's sprinkled in the movie. He's not completely throughout the whole thing. I'm trying to take the character in isolation. Like, I think again, because I'm so, I'm having trouble having what's the word?
Choking on your own rage here.
It was not just, yeah. I wasn't planning on getting enraged, but this movie sucks.
Don't bother for Terry.
It's don't don't. I've said this to so many people. I've said it about Lightyear. I'm saying it about this. I can't remember what the other movie that I watched that I would say. It was like, if you're gonna go to the movies and you haven't already seen Top Gear, watch Top Gear. If you have already seen Top Gear, Top Gun. If you have already seen Top Gun Maverick, watch it again.
100%.
If you're gonna go to the movies and you've already seen Top Gun and you're like, oh, am I gonna see the new Love and Thunder? It's like, no, watch Top Gun again, because it is a better movie. Objectively, and well, I think objectively it's a better movie. It tells a better hero story. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect film, but my gosh, this movie was just so trash. I hate it. I was so heartbroken watching this movie because I did my best to lower my expectations, and my lowered expectations were still shit on. I'm like, they don't know how to tell a hero story anymore. They don't know how to use these characters, and I don't know if it's Taika Waititi's fault. I don't know if it's the screenwriting. The writing was not good. The interactions between the characters,
could I dump on one interaction in particular, Terry, that I remember?
Please.
I recall when Thor and other Thor, like Natalie Portman,
Lady Thor,
Chris Hemsworth. Why is she called Thor too? Thor is like a proper noun, not like a. It doesn't matter.
It's his actual name. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's fine. When they get back to, like, they meet each other again, and they have like a joke argument about who left who. And he's like, "You left," and she's like, "Well, no, you were always gone, so maybe like technically you left." And then she like literally leaves, and he's like, "There, you left again," or something like that. I remember hearing all that, and then hearing silence in the theater, and thinking, like, briefly, like, "Oh, good. Like, I'm not the crazy one that thought that was just completely flat and not funny and not interesting at all. I suppose everyone else thought that as well." And then, like, I have Googled and looked at like the 5 out of 5 reviews. Oh, the chemistry between them was amazing. Like, it. Yeah. Oh my god. It really destroys my spirit when I see that people think that was good chemistry and that was a good romance between two characters in a film. It's like so lacking between those two guys.
For me, like, the humor that was landing was a new type of humor. It was the fact that Stormbreaker has feelings. Like, that was getting chuckles for me and for the crowd. Like, you know, when it would just like slowly slide onto screen as if he's just been watching what Thor's been doing. That's the sort of stuff that landed because it was different.
It got weird with the "I'm going to give you your first beer" thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're like, it's like a romantic.
That's the stuff that they retconned in.
And then he's like, "I'm going to give you your first beer," and I was like, what is that part? Just leave that part out, just that one little bit, and it would be all right. But now it's weird.
I think that's one of the things that they kind of retconned in, the sentience of these weapons. Yes, they're magical, but it's like the sword and the stone kind of thing. The worthiness of the individual to lift Mjolnir isn't something that's determined by the hammer from like a conscious kind of thing, and they're just saying that it is. And because he whispered to the hammer in this montage, I'm not saying that. Well, the Odin.
They're not mutually exclusive, is what I'm saying. Like, I think you can have both.
Right. I think that Odin casting the spell on Mjolnir before he throws it down to Midgard Earth in the start of Thor, that's where this whole, like, whoever's worthy of Thor's power should be able to wield the hammer, and would inherit the powers. It's not because the hammer is like, hey, my name is Mjolnir, I can't speak to you, but I'm gonna be sassy. And then, like, Stormbreaker, like, forged in the same Heart of the Dying Sun kind of thing.
Definitely.
It doesn't have this, you know, you have to be worthy to wield it kind of stuff. And it's now also sentient. So I'm like, I think that it was interesting. I think that you make a good point. It is new and different, and that does kind of make it interesting because it's novel. But I think it's dumb that they're
point from earlier.
See, this is the sort of thing like Marvel's going to take my compliment of that and be like,
See, we did great.
we need a Thor and Stormbreaker TV series where we explore the relationship between him and his axe. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't need that.
Stormbreaker
That
with
point,
aviators.
Terry, your point before about it, throwbacks to previous films that kind of landed flat might explain this as well, because of the he when he gives Cap Mjolnir and says, "Here, you take the little one. I want this one." It's kind of a joke running from that angle where he's like dumping the ugly one and going for the
going for
thing.
the
They've kind of, I think that whole gag in this movie may have sprung from that moment where they
potentially,
that moment tested well with audiences, and they're like, let's run with that in the direction.
Well,
because it tests well, because people laugh at it and they're like, that's a laugh we know we can get again if we just rehash that joke a little.
Well, they measure their success on memes. Like what's the most meme-worthy thing? Let's double down on that.
It's just I don't know. So much of this was like the visual effects. Like Natalie Portman couldn't be bothered to get buff. Like
what? She was ripped.
No.
What about?
No, that's fake.
No. Did you not see photos of her?
I'm almost certain that I've seen that people were like, the muscles that she has on when she holds the hammer and has the outfit on is CG. And like her face.
There were photos of her ripped, like unless they're CGI.
I haven't seen any photos. I didn't want to waste any of my time being like, was that real? Someone, I think it was in one of the film review things. It's like, it doesn't look right and it looks bad. In the like weird aging stuff they did with the face, like airbrushing stuff, she didn't look like a real person.
Yeah, I agree. They did something de-aging perhaps, or way too much makeup or something to her face when she was in
Lady Thor.
In the armor,
That was like,
it did sit weird on her head.
It seemed
That
like
helmet.
Yeah.
It seemed almost like
Also
when you
because she
see
had blonde hair as well, and to make her look more healthier and more like
blonde
stronger.
hair because Thor has blonde hair. Like,
yeah, that's how it is in the comics.
it was kind of like when you see Robert Downey Jr.'s face hovering.
why didn't that happen to
inside
Cap?
of
Why didn't it happen to
suit.
Cap? Cap was worthy to wield the hammer. He
But
didn't
he didn't
become Cap
Thor.
Thor. Yep. Why
didn't
not?
become Thor.
He had the hammer deemed him worthy.
But
This
he
is
didn't
the
transform
rewriting
into
the
Thor.
rules.
Exactly.
shit that-
It's dumb. It's stupid. I'm not familiar with Lady Thor, and I don't want to get into like a comic book argument with someone who's incredibly well versed in comics. With me, who's read a handful of like broad things. Like I've read some Iron Man stuff and some Wolverine things. I haven't really touched Thor at all. I would have preferred to have seen horse-faced Thor character from the stuff. I don't even know the name of the character, but he's in like Planet Hulk, which is what Ragnarok was based off of. I would have rather have seen.
Beta Ray Bill.
Sorry.
Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. I would have rather have seen Beta Ray Bill come swinging in with like the reforged Mjolnir than Natalie Portman and be like, that's a horseman with like my old hammer. That would have been better to me than what this was. But he wanted to make a romance movie, and then the chemistry between these romantic characters, like Ben said, was just not there. My rate is nowhere near as coherent as Ben's. I did not like this film. I do not like this film. Don't see this film, please.
There we go. Glowing reviews here on the Movie Magic Show for Thor: Love and Thunder. If you're thinking about going to watch it in the cinemas, watch Top Gun instead.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I would watch it for a third time.
Yeah.
Just so in
It's
love with
so
that movie.
good. I've seen it twice now in the cinemas,
same.
and it is better on the second viewing because my jaw's not on the floor. So good.
For me, I'm just like, when I watch it for the second time, I'm just like, okay, Shane, get ready to commit this next scene to memory so you can relive it in your mind forever because you're never going to see this in the cinema ever again.
Yeah, mind palace this shit.
That's it. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the show here. We've gone way over time, so we're going to jump straight to our end games. First, our movie quotes. Mr. Mira, you have movie quote number one for us.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Pick that.
I will.
Whoa.
Yikes.
I've got to get in character. Okay. So, you think we're all gonna jump out of bed in the morning and have a big, hot, steaming cup of pig fat?
Oh.
Is it Oakja?
The next line delivered by the character that he's speaking to is, "Well, it depends on the morning, sir."
Is this Full Metal Jacket?
Nope.
I was about to say. Oh.
I like your thinking, though. All right, I've got a follow-up quote. What's the matter, sir? Still tastes like cream corn, except it's deviled ham.
Oh,
Oh.
no! I know this. This is up Periscope or down Periscope?
Down Periscope.
Down Periscope. Yeah.
Oh, okay, no, I was thinking of something
That's
else. Never mind.
Kelsey Grammer
Kelsey
Submarine.
Grammer. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phenomenal movie.
Great
Oh.
movie.
It still tastes like cream corn. It's meant to be deviled ham. Yeah.
The next
So
one
good.
is the next quote I've got here is a
Oh,
cool
you're just gonna
line.
keep going?
Yeah, one second. Oh, I've got it here. Watch
Read the
yourself, son.
screenplay.
You're addressing a superior officer. No, merely a higher-ranking one.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
nice,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a great burn.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
good.
So great movie, very funny,
Really good.
very
It's like
nice.
90s comedy
Yeah.
war movie. Very good.
Yeah.
Nice. Mr. Movies. Movie quote number 2.
You must not read from the book.
Is this
How do I not know it?
The
You guys
Mummy?
know it, don't you?
It is Terry. It's the mummy.
No.
I thought so. Must not read from the book.
Good.
They
There we
read
go.
From the book.
Nice and quick. Tore through those. Now on to
Now it
6
is 6
degrees. Who are we
degrees.
connecting, Terry?
Natalie Portman to Justin Timberlake.
All right, I've got it in 2 degrees. I want to see if you guys can get it.
I went. Well, I don't remember the name of the film, but Natalie Portman's in Black Swan with what's her face,
Mia Kunis.
Mila Kunis, who's in like a movie with Justin Timberlake called like Just
Friends with Benefits.
or yeah,
Friends
that's
with
it.
Benefits.
Friends with Benefits.
Ah, I didn't know they were in a movie together. So
Where
yeah,
they
2 degrees.
decide to just bang each other but not be in a relationship. Like what a
Hmm.
great premise for a movie. Like,
Funny coincidence. There's like a Armageddon Deep
cool.
Impact,
Yeah.
Bugs Life, Ants thing going on there. I think it was the exact same year, 2010, 2011. Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher were in No Strings Attached, which is the exact same premise. Yes. there you
Right.
go.
Fantastic.
They're like, yeah, it's like, oh, we can be friends and just have sex. That's totally fine. That's normal. And it's just like,
And
well,
then they
obviously
catch
they're going to fall for
feelings.
each other by the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inevitably.
Inevitably.
There we go. Those are our end games. What are we going to do next week, gents? What have we? I had on the list here. Let me see. Let me double check.
Probably not
I had The Grey Man,
I was gonna,
which is the new
Yeah, new Netflix.
Russo brothers film. It's out in cinemas as well, but it's
Oh.
also on Netflix. Yeah.
One thing you guys might be interested in, the Black Phone. Have you been hearing much about that?
oh yeah,
I've been
I've
seeing
heard about it.
ads, and I don't want to know about it. No.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll watch it if you watch it, Jace. Pretty
It
scary
doesn't
though.
look,
It's
it doesn't
what I
look scary. What are you talking
okay.
What are you
about?
talking about? It looks horrifying.
You.
I think it's literally a horror film.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
It's-
there is at the cinemas Where the Crawdads Sing, which is also a novel as well.
Where the crawdads sing.
I'm good.
Those are the only
Thank you,
things
Cam.
that I've seen.
Hydrating with my Mountain Dew. I was going to suggest, we mentioned it the other week, is The Pianist, which I believe is on one of the services.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so
Oh,
I think I'd rather watch that.
isn't
and
The
The Grey
Grey Man a sequel to another movie that I don't know what it is? Or am I getting this wrong? I just read on Reddit something about the characters, like the actor that I'm seeing on the poster here, that I don't want to reveal.
I haven't heard that.
Okay,
I
I
thought it
must
was
be
just
wrong.
like a new action movie, Russo brothers, and yeah,
Okay, cool.
actors that we know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, cool. So The Grey Man next week, and The Pianist.
Grey Man is the book series.
There you go.
What a shame.
Awesome. Anyway, yes. So join us next Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, right here on Twitch. Oh, also that's one that's coming out, The Bullet Train. We can do that in a couple of weeks as well. It's
yeah.
Brad Pitt and Bulk.
Yeah, he still has
as
a lot,
well.
a lot of credit on
Mm.
in my
That
store.
movie?
Horrible.
What movie?
You think it looks horrible?
It looks. I've heard, because it's based on a book again, and I've heard the premise of the actual book, and the book sounds so much better than what the movie looks like it's going to be. So,
Alright. Anyway, well,
books are always better.
this isn't the movie book show, so the
No.
movie book
This
show,
isn't the book club.
magic show.
Oh.
Again,
There we go.
Mike,
Michael Grey Man has also written some Jack Ryan novels too. Sorry.
you should take the advice of the guy from The Mummy. You must not read from the book.
Yeah.
Life coach.
Life coach. Anyway, so join us next week for The Grey Man and The Pianist, the following week for Bullet Train. I want to thank the era of Jason Mira for joining us once again. Jason, it was so good to have you back, my friend.
Yeah.
It's good to be
Good to see your face.
Yeah. It's been so long, so I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place. I don't know what.
Beep, beep,
Yeah,
beep, beep,
but the
beep.
microphone still works, so that's good.
Yeah.
And thank you to the Dulcet Tones of Terry Fear.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thank you to Mr. Movies, Ben Stapleton.
Yeah, Jason always has these points that I go, oh, that's right, I wanted to, and then I like quickly write them down, and yeah, it's really cool to springboard ideas off of when Jason's on the show. And
Make us
luck, eh?
better.
Yeah, Pop Blast, I'm good. I'm glad. Anyway, thank you, dear viewer, for tuning in once again. We hope to see you next time. Stick around. We're going to raid someone, so don't go anywhere. We'll pass on the love. Yes, thank you to the boys for being here once again. And until next time, hail Hydra.